Speaker recognizes Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I want to start out by congratulating our chair of the subcommittee for school aid. He's done a fabulous job working through this budget. There are concerns that I have in it, but indeed I appreciate his support. Part of the budget that concerns me is we are still trying to struggle to pinpoint the exact cost to educate a student in Michigan, and especially when it comes to students being taught in cyber schools. In the past, this legislature has recognized that it must be less than what it would be for a regular school district. Well, while it's important that we ensure enough funding for Michigan's children to get the education they need and that we owe to them, we must also be vigilant in wisely using the monies that we have that we're putting forth and not dumping Michigan's tax dollars into private educational entities just to further their profit margins. Tax dollars should be used to the greatest benefit of all Michigan and all Michigan schools, not just to one or two corporate entities. This amendment decreases the foundation allowance to cyber schools by 20%. The funds that come available from this decrease are transferred to two different line items in the school aid budget. First, it creates a line item of $250,000 for a study to determine the true cost to educate a student in Michigan. We already have a career readiness study in the budget. This study would serve as a strong purpose for our educational system. Secondly, my amendment would take the balance of the cost savings, $9 million, and put it into a new pilot program for year-round schools in the budget. This would increase it to $11 million. Imagine instead of 2.5 schools receiving funding to update their building to accommodate a year-round program, that indeed 15 schools could participate in the pilot program, all for the cost of a more efficient use of our tax dollars. I ask that you help me by supporting the determination of the actual cost of education in Michigan so that we can make sound educational policy decisions, so that we can increase our fundings for our brick and mortar schools, and that we can support the brick and mortar schools as we look at increasing their calendar. To my colleagues, I ask that you support this amendment, that indeed we look very closely at how we are spending our tax dollars and we support schools in every way possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Brown. The question is on the adoption of the amendment. The clerk will open the board. The amendment is not adopted. There are further amendments. The clerk will read.
Representative Brown offers a series of 3 amendments identified as Amendment 2B.
The Speaker recognizes Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, it's very seldom that I get up and speak in front of this body, and today I'm going to do it another time if you don't adopt this one. In this mode, I'm going to just say simply that what this amendment does it says we're going to decrease the funding to cyber schools by 15%. Remember, the last one was 20. This is 15%. We'll still use that $250,000 for that study to determine the cost to educate a student in Michigan. And this would take that balance of the cost savings, $6.75 million, and put it into that pilot program again for year-round schools. It would increase it to $8.75 million. And indeed, 11 schools could be furthered in year-round schooling with this help. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Brown. The question is on the adoption of the amendment. The clerk will open the board. The amendment is not adopted. There are further amendments. The clerk will read.
Representative Brown offers a series of 3 amendments identified as Amendment 2C.
The Speaker recognizes Representative Brown.
Okay, I'm going to offer it one more time for you. You have a chance to take it up. I feel like we're on some reality show here. Let's this time try at 10%, reducing cyber school funding by 10%. Across the nation, they are not paying the amount of money for cyber schools that we in Michigan are. What makes us special to provide more funding for cyber schools than anyone else, especially to fund out-of-state cyber schools? My colleagues, again, We can use the money to provide for the study for the cost of education in Michigan. We also can use the remainder, $5.25 million, to fund 7 schools in this pilot program to extend a school into the summer months. Again, I ask my colleagues sincerely for their support in this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Brown. The question is on the adoption of the amendment. The clerk will open the board. The amendment is not adopted.